friends, this video has two parts. First part is what is emotional intelligence, and second part is scientific tips to emotional intelligence in communication.
Hello everyone, and welcome. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling misunderstood or regretted something said in the heat of the moment? These moments often stem from a lack of emotional intelligence, not intelligence itself. Today we explore this skill to improve our relationships at work and home. Let's dive into practical ways to enhance our emotional intelligence. First, we'll explore the core concept of emotional intelligence in communication. Next, we'll dive into 6 actionable ways to use emotional intelligence in real life. These steps will transform how you connect with others. Let's begin this journey of mastering our emotional world. The first practice is the art of the pause. In our fast-paced world, we're conditioned for instant reactions. A reaction is instinctual, often driven by emotion. A response, however, is thoughtful and considered. The space between a trigger and our action is where growth lies. This space is created by the pause. When emotions surge, take a conscious breath. This simple act breaks the automatic circuit of reaction. The pause lets you shift from being a puppet of your emotions to the director of your actions. In that silence, find your strength and wisdom. Take a moment to respond, not to react. This is the key to unlocking conscious communication. The second practice is listening without judging. Often we prepare our rebuttal instead of truly listening. True listening is about setting aside your internal monologue. Approach conversations with curiosity, not certainty. Accept the other person's experience as valid for them. This creates psychological safety and builds trust. When people feel safe, they open up and share honestly. Listen for the emotions behind the words. The practical application is to listen fully before forming a response. Let them finish their thought without interruption. Paraphrase back what you heard to ensure understanding. This shift from listening to reply to listening to understand builds empathy. It transforms conversations from debates to connections. Practice listening without judgment to build bridges of understanding. This is how empathy begins to build bridges between people. This is how empathy begins to build bridges between people. Our third step is recognizing your emotional triggers. A trigger sparks an intense emotional reaction. Recognizing triggers is an act of self-inquiry. When emotions surge, get curious about the cause. Often triggers are connected to old wounds or unmet needs. Understanding this is empowering. It allows you to separate the past from the present. Once you know your triggers, you can prepare for them. Knowing your triggers allows you to respond wisely. It's like having a map of your own heart. This self-knowledge is key to mature communication. Let's express ourselves using I statements. You statements sound accusatory and invite conflict. I statements take ownership of your feelings. The structure is simple. I feel emotion when behavior because impact. For example, I feel frustrated when interrupted because I lose my train of thought. This approach invites empathy rather than defensiveness. It opens the door for a collaborative conversation. When you say, I feel hurt, you are being vulnerable. This often softens the other person and makes them more willing to listen. It shifts the dynamic from adversaries to partners in problem solving. The goal is to understand each other and find a way forward together. Practice this shift to reduce conflict and build understanding. Before speaking, pause and rephrase your you statement into an I statement. It will radically reduce conflict and build a bridge of understanding. This is how empathy begins to build bridges between people. This is how empathy begins to build bridges between people. This is how empathy begins to build bridges between people. This is how empathy begins to build bridges between people. Communication is more than words, it's also nonverbal. Learn to read these cues to understand true emotions. Pay attention to body language and facial expressions. Notice tone of voice for a richer understanding. When words and nonverbal cues mismatch, get curious. Check in gently to show attention and care. This demonstrates you are truly seeing them. Reading nonverbal cues is like gaining a superpower in communication. It gives you access to a deeper layer of truth. Connect with people in a more meaningful way. This is how empathy begins to build bridges between people. This is how empathy begins to build bridges between people. The final practice is showing genuine empathy. Empathy is feeling with someone, not for them. It's understanding and sharing their feelings. Empathy is the glue that holds relationships together. It flows from the skills we've discussed. Empathy is an active choice to connect with feelings, validate their emotional experience. Say things like, "That sounds frustrating," or "I see why you'd feel hurt." Validation de-escalates conflict and builds alliance. Empathy requires vulnerability and connection to universal emotions. Offer the gift of human connection. It's a message that says you are not alone. Build deep, resilient, and rewarding relationships. This is how empathy begins to build bridges between people. This is how empathy begins to build bridges between people. We've journeyed through 6 essential practices of emotional intelligence. These are ways of being, not just techniques. The goal is progress, not perfection. Mastering emotional intelligence is a lifelong practice. Approach yourself with compassion and lack of judgment. Each interaction is an opportunity to practice. Small, consistent efforts create lasting change. Transform your communication and deepen your relationship with yourself. Build a foundation of inner peace and resilience. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Be well.
As in, if you want to master the communication skills, then watch my entire playlist and subscribe my channel to updates.